Yo, what's up, people? It's the Solar Kid, and this is the Other Side of the Sun podcast. And we have the lovely Olivia Louise. Say hi.
Hi. Hello there. Hello her.
Olivia Louise is a singer-songwriter and based in Chester, in the north,
Yeah, all the way up north.
all the way up north. And yeah, I've known Olivia for a couple of years. Performed with you. We worked on a track together. But more specifically, yeah, I just wanted to have a chat about some things. I know that would you call yourself a feminist?
Absolutely. I don't
Yeah.
shy away from the word. Yeah.
I thought I
I
was
don't
hearing.
understand. Yeah, I struggle like with women who are reluctant to call themselves feminists. Like it's a bad word.
Hmm.
Like I feel like so many negative connotations have been attached to feminism being like man haters, like these angry women. It's like I'm not a feminist, yeah, because I know what it means to be a feminist.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, I was slightly apprehensive about saying it, but like, you shouldn't really feel no way about being a feminist. Like, and I was talking to my wife about the definition of it, and like, I suppose it does get obscured quite a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think when you break it down, feminism is just one inequality, and also within the structures that harm women, men are harmed within them structures as well. So it's ultimately working for like just a more holistic approach for everybody. And I think it's been twisted and turned into this narrative where women hate men and they want one up on men. It's like, no, actually, we just want men to stop killing us and and raping us, and also stop killing themselves, because male suicide is like through the roof. So yeah, I think it gets misconstrued a lot.
No, definitely. I mean, that was my opinion about it. Well, basically, is just that equality, having the same pay structures, being respected in the same way. And like for a long time, I used to say that God is a woman just to kind of challenge the perception of men, because
Yeah,
everything seems to be geared towards he and father and, this kind of thing. Whereas I've always felt like the woman should be. I think I read a story once where, like, in ancient times, women were in charge and the men used to just do all the hunting and stuff, and the women used to strategize and
yeah, I read that in a history book once as well, because there's always this argument that like, oh, men have always been like physically like stronger,
mm,
and that's a lot of people have always thought. But when I read like this book called The History of Women, and it showed back like before Christ, like so long ago, where they'd like studied the bone mass of women, and it was like equal, absolutely equal, if not in some cases stronger than men's bone mass back then. So
interesting.
yeah,
So, I mean, that makes sense. Like, me and my wife watched a documentary a few years ago where I think it was Portsmouth or Southampton, in the school, where they kind of did this experiment over about 6 months, and they allowed kids to play with different toys. And they specifically gave boys, like sewing and crafts, and they gave the girls like Meccano. Did you ever see that one?
no, but I've heard of studies like it. Yeah,
But in the end, I mean, they basically, and I mean, they allowed the girls to play football, and like they let the guys do other things, more nurturing things. And like the way the interaction between the kids changed after these 6 months was so amazing. And also the compassion between the boys towards the girls and vice versa was amazing because, and this is the thing, like I was going to say, is basically like when you're growing up, the guys don't want the girls to play football. You know what I mean? They don't want you to play. But the reason why the girls are not good is literally because from the ages of 2, 3, 4 up until the ages of 12, they don't get the chance to play. So
yeah.
eventually they just gravitate to other. It's not like they can't play or they're not strong enough or they won't get strong enough. It's literally just because,
It's not encouraged.
yeah,
Like it's not like that. I mean, sports as a whole, I feel like has a very male-dominated narrative.
mm,
Um, and I feel like it's because that physical element is not encouraged as much in women. It's the same reason we have more mechanics, and we know that women can do this work. It's not that they can't do it, but yeah, we're not encouraged to explore those sides of ourselves as much. And in the same way that men aren't encouraged to explore the more feminine sides, ballet. If I'm ballet, he's kind of stigmatized, looked at sideways a little bit. Why?
It's like we
In
are
fact,
white. I want to wave tattoos.
ballet's really strong as well, isn't it? You gotta have strength for ballet. So
Tupac did ballet.
who did ballet?
Tupac.
Wow, I didn't know that. There you
Yeah.
go. So that's it.
Yeah. Tupac did ballet, did acting and theater, all of that.
Nice. I'm here for it. So, when you have sometimes thought about God being a woman, so are you religious in that sense then? Would you describe yourself as religious?
So I used to do that just to challenge the narrative of people, but I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. At the moment, I'm very into Eastern philosophy, but I've kind of always followed. I grew up Christian and read the Bible a couple of times, and then like kind of in my early 20s went off on a journey of self-discovery, reading about Taoism, Rastafarianism, Judaism. I just read whatever I could find on religions, and
Yeah.
eventually got to a point where like pretty much all of them say the same thing. So like I kind of don't
Yeah.
subscribe to one particular faith. I do
Yeah.
yoga, I do meditation, I chant and stuff like that. But I mean, those are things that I just find work for me. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't say I follow one particular dogma, if you want to call it that.
I totally agree. I think I'm very similar myself. To be honest, I felt like at one point when I was younger, I really tried to get into Christianity, and I really tried to read the Bible, and I really tried. But the older kind of I got, the more I started seeing that the messages in it. Again, I think it was that whole. I think it was the whole male dominance and women are the downfall of men. Eve, like it was the. I feel like it
God
just made me
damn
think.
you!
I just was like, what? And it
God
kind of
damn you!
pushed me away from it. I was like, nah. And some of the messages in there, I just was kind of like, would God really ask you to go and kill your brother? Like, it just wasn't quite sitting right with me. So I did, like you have done, I kind of explored a lot of other different areas and kind of like found my own spiritual system, if you like. So rather than perceiving like God as I believe in like God as an energy.
Yeah.
So it does, for me, it's kind of genderless. It's just like a spiritual force.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've always felt, is that God wouldn't be woman or man, like, but I just used to enjoy saying that because like a lot of people would be offended,
challenging
But, I mean,
people. Yeah.
even with like books, especially spiritual books or religious texts, like they're not really supposed to be taken that seriously.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you're not, well, I don't know. I mean, I say for myself, but I think they're not supposed to be taken literally. They're supposed to be as inspiration. And
Yeah.
that's where the problem comes in.
Yeah.
It's like, because this is how it is, and you're going to fucking hell if you don't believe this shit. Okay?
Yeah. I mean, I just can't believe that any God who's supposed to love us is going to send us to hell anyway. Like, if you can't forgive us, where are we going to hell? I'm just not. Yeah, I'm not buying it.
So yeah, tell us about younger Olivia. Like, what were you like? What was Manny like back in the day? How did you get into music and that? And like, what was it like?
Well, I started off writing poems. So I started writing poems when I was like, I want to say like 7, 8. That was my first kind of like exploration with words that rhyme and kind of like understanding. And I remember I used to like read the inside of like my CD covers and see how songs were written out. So I'd see chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, bridge. And that's how I learned the structure of a song. So I think I wrote my first, pardon?
When you were 7?
I must have been about 8 by the time I started doing that, because I wrote my first song when I was in year 4, and I think you're about 9 in year 4. So I wrote my first year 4, and it was like fully structured. It had like 3 verses, it had a breakdown, it had bridge, it had chorus, because I literally studied the inside of these cases. I knew how to write a song. I'm not saying they were any good, but
No,
yes,
but
I wrote.
no wonder you're so good though, man. Damn.
So yeah, but I didn't do anything with it for so long. I just kind of used it as my own sort of personal space to kind of like vent or say whatever I needed to say in my little 10-year-old brain. But it wasn't until like I was, I think, 20 or something that I went into studio for the first time. So it took me a long time of kind of building that, to build the confidence, because I didn't really feel like my voice was strong enough, because I have you know, my voice is very delicate and very soft, and I just felt like there wasn't really maybe a space for that. But now there's like so many kind of, I mean, Alex Isley, like one of my favorite artists, really delicate, lovely voices out there. So yeah, I started singing for some MCs, got
Yeah.
into the studio. It happened that way.
Yeah, I mean, your voice always, when I first heard you, I kind of felt there was like some Janae Aiko influence in there, or in
Yeah, I love
that
it.
kind of. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously that's before she was really popular, isn't it? That you got into.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't know how it is for you. I don't know, like, obviously how you feel about when you make music, but for me, like, creating music or creating art, it's just like a language. I just feel like I used it as a tool for the things that I might have not necessarily been like brave enough to say out loud. It was kind of like, and I don't know whether that's cowardly or whether that's brave to do that, but I found it as my space to kind of give myself the confidence to say the things that I might not have found myself able to say in reality, if that makes sense.
And like some of the stuff that you generally sing about was quite saucy, should I?
That took me a while to get there. Yeah.
Oh, so your earlier stuff wasn't like that, like.
No, well, some of the stuff that I wrote that I never put out was, but I was never brave enough to do that. Guess I was really worried about like what my parents might think. I was like, and then kind of like as I started to use music as a tool, more like a healing tool for myself. And I have, you know, in my life, I've been through sexual trauma, traumatic experiences. So to be able to kind of reframe that and own it and empower it and embody it was really, really like therapeutic and important to me.
Hmm. I think music and art is such an important like form of catharsis, especially if you're not like you know, like a recording artist or someone who just like. And I feel that's why people who write poetry. I mean, I started with poetry as well, and like
Oh,
starting with poetry was me working out my brain, you know, and like I used to call it messages to my future self as well. So like
oh,
I used to write and write and write, and then I used to look back and read. And like, I mean, my very first poem that I wrote actually got published, and that was like, okay, well, this is right. You're on the right path. And then I actually became a performance poet. I used to perform with the band and that kind of thing, and that started my journey. But like,
nice.
yeah, so like poetry is a good way of airing your, you know, just getting shit out there.
Yeah, just letting it out.
So I mean, you talk about you know, traumatic experiences and stuff. Is that why? I mean, you're quite involved in kind of, what do I say, feminist movements, or like you know, helping uh, women go through these types of issues and traumas.
Sorry, it froze on me then. It froze.
I was just saying, so I mean, you've been through some things like you know, sexual trauma and that type of stuff through your life. So you are quite involved in helping um, women with these types of things as well, right?
Yeah, I think that's something that I've really only found like the strength to do recently. It's like I'm 32 now, and it's taken my whole life to get to this stage. And sometimes I feel like, is this what my music has been doing? Has it been preparing me to
Mm,
get to the where I can have these conversations that I would have never have dreamed that I could have had? And I feel like the more that I was more honest in my music, just generally talking about, you know, sex and just other things that women go through, the way that we're tired of the way that men treat us. More women was just naturally gravitating me, not just women, men. I was having so many men being like, I'm learning things through your music, you know, I'm actually learning here.
mm,
And so the more that I realized that people were really engaging with what I had to say, I'm like, okay, well, let me say something that means a little bit more now. So the next project that I'm actually working on, that I'm putting out, is called Process, and it does heavily center around trauma. It's not kind of all about trauma, but it centers around the aftermath of it and the recovery of it and the healing process. So yeah, that's given me the confidence to kind of be like, I want to do more outside of music now, because putting it in music is great and people are connecting and it's fantastic, but how can I live with more purpose and more intention
mm.
outside of, well, so that's the kind of path that I feel like I'm slowly going down.
Would you say that is because of like what's been happening recently, the lockdown, or were you already on that path
I was
before?
already starting to get towards that path, especially after the Me Too movement. I think that really created a shift in me. I've never seen anything like that in my life. You know, so many women, and it's like I know so many women who have been through things like since like high school days. You know, we've all known the things that we go through, but I've never seen women and men publicly speak about their experiences. So when that happened, I woke up and I just was on my timeline like me too, me too, me too, my too. I just cried. I was like, wow, this is. And then I was like, can I say it too? Am I allowed to? And I think I vomit, and I think I did, and I think I wanted to throw up because I just felt so like exposed. And it still feels a bit like that sometimes now. You know, I put a song out recently called Disappointed, and I worked with like a lot of survivors on a visual for that. And I did want to like run away and vomit a little bit after it because it's really scary
Yeah.
sharing
No,
sharing. Yeah,
I mean, South Africa has one of the worst rape. Like it's one of the, like it's basically, if not the rape capital of the world. Like, my cousin is an advocate for women's rights and for she's a lawyer as well. Like, it's ridiculous the amount of,
yeah,
of women that get raped there daily. You know.
yeah,
So it's a serious issue, and I mean it's good. People need to talk about these things, and people need to be more open about being able to express themselves, especially guys as well, man. Uh,
yeah,
toxic masculinity is, I feel, slowly changing. The millennials are doing a good job of helping us olders, kind of, and I mean, for me, I say I've kind of always been on that path anyway, changing. I've had to break loads of stereotypes and stuff coming from a very male dominated society, and growing up with that boys don't cry and blah blah blah, and you have to dominate the women, you have to be the man, and you have to blah 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 kind of thing. But I feel that people are waking up, more and
yeah.
more. Homophobia, all these types of phobias that people.
I agree. I definitely feel the shift. And when I was actually doing my project, and I was doing like research into kind of like cases of abuse and things, the figures between like sexual abuse between girl and boys is so similar. Like I think it's like it's 1 in 4 girls and it's 1 in 6 boys.
Really?
So yeah. So I'm thinking right. So I know so many good. I mean, so many young girls, I mean, women now who was abused when they was girls, but I don't really have any guy friends who speak about it. Yeah, I know it must be happening because I've done the research and I've seen the figures. So that makes me really sad. You know, there's a whole community of people out there who are kind of living with this silently. And when I put my project out, I actually had 3 guys come into my DMs and was like, yeah, this has happened to me. All of them when they was boys, all of their abuse was by other men as well. Um, and it was just kind of like they kind of was like, I've never had an opportunity to really speak about it, and I feel a bit nervous, and I felt really sad that they've never had that opportunity up until now.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a friend who actually told me about some stuff that he was through. He went through a lot as well. It's really. I suppose it's. I don't know. I can understand why it's hard. Especially because you feel so vulnerable.
Yeah,
It's trauma. It's a trauma, like you say. It's traumatic.
yeah.
So provide these platforms. A friend of mine has started an online platform also recently talking about toxic masculinity, which I feel is really good. I mean, he's got a group of guys and they talk about this every week and stuff. And I've noticed that.
Wow, you'll have to send me the link for that because that's right on my street.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure if women are allowed. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But I will send you the I'll send you the link for his group, and I'm sure it will be good to actually get
Oh,
different.
okay.
Excuse me.
Did you say it was like a podcast or a group?
Oh, it's a group. It's a group. He
Oh,
literally just
sorry,
said,
I thought like it was. You should totally do a podcast.
yeah. I wonder if he would actually. I'll mention it to him and see if he's into it. I mean, like, I haven't personally experienced it, but I do obviously feel that it's necessary to talk about these things. So
Yeah.
your project, was it called the Me Too movement as well? Or
Oh, my project's called Process.
or process. So for the album.
Yeah, that's called Process. So that's currently what I've been working on at the minute, and I've started off like a little side page at the minute as well for it's called All the Things I Couldn't Say, and it's for people. Yeah, it's like a space, you know, just to say as well that you don't have to speak out. There's no pressure to speak out, and you matter even if you are unable to share your story. You still matter. So I created that page as well, just to kind of coincide with. I want the project to be more than just the music. I want it to be about something bigger as well.
So just to not off topic, but like how has this period been for you anyway? Like how has your last 8 months or so been?
I really enjoyed it. I can't lie. I've really enjoyed lockdown. I'm quite like a lone sort of wolf anyway. So I've enjoyed just working from home, being at home. However, I'm starting to kind of miss going out for food now and going for a night out. So kind of ready for the end, but I don't want to go back to work in an office anymore.
Yeah. So are you working on changing that? Or?
I just want to stay at home. Well, yeah, I'm not. There's no way they can get me back in the office now. Absolutely not. From home. No chance. I'm working from home forever.
Oh my goodness.
How have you found? How have you found it?
Yeah, I mean it's tough when you have 3 kids. We're lucky we have the space, and yeah, it's been good. Like I said, I'm pretty similar to you. I don't really go out much. Like I'm an artist, so I chill. I'm in the studio. I'm mixing and most of the time. So lockdown wasn't really much of a change for me in that sense.
Have you found yourself? Have you been more creative, or?
I have, I wouldn't say more, but I feel like I've finished more projects that I should have. Before. Do you know what I mean? There were loads of things, I suppose, but that was because I was working, like generally, because obviously the nature of my business, I'm constantly doing things for other artists.
Yeah.
Their records, getting their stuff, recording people coming to the studio, doing their stuff. So I never really had much time to just focus on me.
Yeah.
That allowed me that time.
Yeah. Is that why you decided did you start this during lockdown, or did you start this before?
So I started something similar before lockdown, which was called The Process as well.
Oh, wow.
That was about artists and their process, and we basically got like 2 or 3 artists from different disciplines down to the studio, and then we would chat about their different like processes of making music, and then we'd have a jam, and then come up with a song, in the studio.
Yeah.
And we had 2 episodes, and it was really good. But then things happened, and lockdown happened. But this definitely is because of lockdown, and this is because I just feel like I wanted to explore other parts of me. Like my whole life has always just been focused on achieving this music and trying to do this and do that, and
Oh.
and that's why it's called The Other Sides of the Sun, because being the sun child or the solar kid, these are all, I'm into so many things: history, art, philosophy.
I love the name, by the way. I really love the name.
Thank you.
Dude, yeah.
But yeah, it's about everything. And also like it's been such an amazing process so far, because I've been able to get to know people who I find fascinating or interesting on a deeper level as well. Not just on the, I'm not saying music is the surface level, but generally it's all based, like when we used to chat, it always be about like, the track, music or this or that or projects. And whereas now I'm really getting to know people, and also their stories. Really, when you're an artist, you are to a large extent self-absorbed, whether you choose to admit it or not. Like your main focus is you and your art.
Yeah.
So this has allowed me to really just get to know people,
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. And also I feel like it's true what you say. You said you wanted to explore like other sides of yourself, other things that you like, other things that you're good at. I found that over the years I have really limited myself to music, and I've made it like feel and end all, and I've made it my focus. And if it's not going well, I feel like I'm failing. And it's like, wait a second, let me stop for a minute, because I have put them limitations on myself. Yes, I am good at music, and yes, I enjoy it, but there is a whole other multitude of things that I'm passionate about, that now that I'm getting older and now that I'm realizing that, I'm starting to branch off into those things as well.
Yeah.
which is now.
Yeah, because we multifaceted beings, you know. I mean, like we're not one dimensional.
Hmm.
Even with music, like I don't always do music every single day, you know, every waking minute. Like I want to
Yeah,
watch football, I want to read about ancient history. I'm into philosophy and art and science and
yeah,
shit. I mean, like, so yeah, this podcast has really just been about that. And I'm talking to musicians, but then I'm also speaking to people from different disciplines and backgrounds and all walks of life as well. Like, because I meet loads of people, and I've always
yeah.
a person that gets along with many types of people.
Hmm.
But this is not about me. This is you. I'm talking to you today. So you
I feel
tell.
like yeah, but I like questioning people as well. You know, like delving in.
Up in the script here, man.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I mean, like in the same breath, I'm allowing people to really get to know me as a person because, like, I shut off myself for quite a few years. Went off
Hmm.
Facebook, you know, all that stuff. My Instagram was only music based, and now I just don't have anything to hide, really. You know,
Yeah.
I don't mind talking about my family. I won't put pictures and stuff, but I don't mind like discussing my personal life and stuff. To
Yeah. Just
an
a
extent.
little sharing a little bit more of yourself, but still in kind of like gentle, protective ways.
Yeah. So you actually didn't answer your question a lot, like about the younger Olivia and like what your okay, you explained how you got into music, but like tell us a little bit something interesting about that you've been through when you were younger, or like what was it like being a single mom and you know navigating.
Well, I guess I don't know if I would have fully like had the confidence to go into music, to be honest, if I hadn't have done the experience of like motherhood and having to, like to try and navigate that on my own because I mean I was 18 when I found out I was pregnant, and I'm lucky that I had a really supportive family, and at the time a really supportive partner. So when we separated and when I became a single mum, that was difficult to transition into because I was at the same time I was at university, and then I was working, and then I was getting into music, so I was trying to kind of juggle everything.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, so it was hard trying to balance everything, but at the same time I was like, I can do it, I've had a child. Like once you've I've created a child, like I can totally go and create songs and like do this. So she really gave me that confidence to kind of push forward with that more as
yeah.
well. Even though it was hard juggling everything around, she totally gave me that confidence, and she used to make me laugh. I remember I went to a music award once, and she was like, "Is Katy Perry going to be there?" I was like, "Babe, no, unfortunately." So that made me laugh. I was like, she really has no concept of. She knows Mummy does music, and she sees like Mummy does music videos, and in her head she like thought it was like LA. Like she's like, "Is Katy Perry going to be there?" I was like, "Katy Perry's not going to be there. Mummy's not hitting it like that yet."
Yeah, I'm trying to explain to my daughter sometimes as well.
Yeah.
Um, you used to do you had a podcast, didn't you, a few months ago or last year or something called In Bed With or
Oh yeah. So I've done a few episodes of In Bed With, and I've not like stopped it. So it's just something that every now and again, if I feel like there's something to say or I feel like there's somebody that I want to have a conversation with, I'll do it.
what was that about?
But In Bed With started. It wasn't supposed to be like a series of episodes. It started just with one IGTV that I did, just like in my bed on my own like this, about false. It was about false rape accusations
False
because at the time,
recommendations.
yeah, false rape accusation, and it was around the time of the Me Too conversation. So every kind of person that I saw speaking out about their experiences of sexual assault, there was like a whole chorus of men behind them saying, "But women lie about rape, and men go to prison, for false rape accusations." So I was like, okay, this is holding so much weight in the conversation. Let me just research, is this a problem? Is this something that's like really affecting lots of people? So I went away, did my research, and found out that false rape accusations were something like 0.0001%, really, really minor. So I couldn't understand like why it was being used to silence real rape cases. And
Hmm.
I'm like, that conversation is so important. But if the only time that you care about it, and if the only time that you want to talk about it is to shut women up or discount their stories, then do you really give a shit about it?
Mm. That's really sad though. That's really, really sad.
Yeah, so that's how it started. So I did a video on that, and then like it got loads of engagement. So I thought, okay, let me do this again. And I brought my friend on, and we talked about online dating, and then we talked about like the anti-aging culture, and it just kind of, yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I'm definitely going to do some more of that.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy podcasting, and I enjoy watching podcasts as well. Like, you just feel like it brings people closer to each other, and also you just get to learn so much stuff.
This is the thing. I feel like I probably listen to like more podcasts than I do music these days.
Yeah.
And sometimes I listen to this podcast called On Being. Don't know if you've ever heard of it. And the conversation that she it's like Krista Tippett, her name is. She has different guests on, and sometimes I listen to it and I'm like, oh, you know, and you get like a shiver down your spine. I'm like, wow, that just really hit. And I have to go back and I have to then write the quote down. So I'm like, I need to remember that because that's amazing. And I'm learning new words and you're learning new ways of thinking and new language. It's great.
So let me ask you this here, like just going back to the feminist thing. So pro-feminism, or feminism is pro-female movement, yeah. How do you feel about, like, so a lot of your personal music videos are quite risque. How do you feel about women like portraying themselves? Do you feel it's empowering for women to kind of dress sexy, or like in skimpy clothes, or is it the other way around? Is it demoralizing for women? Do you think it's empowering or not?
I
Or
feel like
it's okay for them
that
to do that or not? Because
it's subjective to the individual, I think. So I think anything that feels good to you, that makes you feel more confident in the world, is empowering. So if it empowers a woman to, you know, twerk in a bikini and she feels good and she feels great, then more power to her. Like I'm not mad at it one bit. I think sometimes where the lines get blurred is between empowerment and objectification.
mm,
And it's sometimes hard for us as women to kind of take ourselves out of that line. Like, am I empowered, or am I objectified, or am I? And that is a lot of unlearning. That and the things, we should be able to move freely in our expression, but because of the social constructs that have been put on us, the slut shaming, you know, the prudeness about how women should behave and how women should kind of even engage in sexual relationships, has made us feel like, oh, you know, they should be ashamed of doing that. They're disrespecting themselves doing that, you know?
or is it a case of men just growing up then? But because I mean, it's no secret that men are pretty visual creatures. That's how we operate. We are like turned on immediately by the visual aspects of nature. So obviously, I'm not saying it's right for a man to just go and do whatever he please and touch on a woman or say this or do that or slut shame. But then not kind of, I don't know, like, because there's that debate about you tempting, and I'm not saying it's right for a man to, man still has to learn how to control his emotions and feelings, but like, it's weird. It's such a weird, I don't know. It's like, yeah, I don't even know.
I think that men need to disengage from the fact that women don't always do things for them. And I think when men see women in scantily clad clothes, or, you know, they're like maybe all screaming WAP, you know, they're screaming wet ass pussy and they're twerking there. Sometimes it's not about you. Like, and I feel like that's
But the thing is, all men are like that, though. That's just how we are, isn't it?
I know. And it's kind of like, just like, women exist like to please themselves outside of the idea of what you think of us. And sometimes we might want to like have a party in a pool and be in bikinis and be twerking, and it's not about you, it's about us being free and feeling fun and sexy, you know.
But then you think it's a case of maybe women are supposed to do that in a safe space around other women, or are men just we just have to grow up and just deal with it and get.
We shouldn't have to. We should not have to. Men need to mind their business, just to mind their business, and, you know, don't touch us. Just mind their business and learn to behave. That's what needs to happen.
It's hard, man. I mean, I'm a grown man married with kids and stuff like that. But like, and yes, I can control myself, and I know I can control my emotions. But you are still affected when you see a woman in scantily clad clothes. It's just how we wired, like, you know what I mean?
I think as well, it's just kind of learning that you're okay to, that's okay to be attracted by it. It's okay to look and be like, wow, she's hot. But it's okay to then also reflect that you're not entitled to that woman in any way. And it's just watch, and it's okay to be attracted, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that either. And I think it's where the boundaries get crossed is when the self-entitlement comes into it. You know, oh, I can have that, I want that. That's where, and there's so many gray areas within this. You know, nothing is black and white. There's all this gray in between that no one likes to admit or talk about as well.
Yeah, so let's talk about WAP then.
Wet. I love it. I'm totally here for wet pussy. I've lost it around the house. My people, I play it, and people are like, oh, you shouldn't really play that around your daughter. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I was like 13 singing my neck, my back, my pussy, and my crap. These tunes have been around.
Well, you see that exact same thing that you're talking about right now. I'm exactly the same, because at the end of the day, kids are not perverted or perverse in any way. You are. Do you know what I mean? Like in France, kids will be naked on the beach until they're like 13, 14, 15. But your fucking perception of things is what perverts the situation.
Yes.
I mean, I don't mind swearing in front of my kids, doing certain things, because I will explain to them and teach them, like, there's a time and place for everything. Do you know what I mean? And also how to understand these things, because it's people's perception, like, oh, you need to cover up in public and this and that and whatever, because I mean, obviously you have to, because there's some freaks out there, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I totally agree. We project our pervert, you know, like we see like younger, I mean, even I've had issues with my daughter recently, like because she's like trying to explore like what she likes to wear, and she might want to wear like some shorts sometimes, and me and her dad might not agree on what she's wearing, and you know, and he's doing it from a safety angle. He's thinking, if she's wearing that, I don't want people looking at her. Whereas my angle is, that shouldn't have to be her problem. I shouldn't have to her exploring her expression because I'm afraid of predators. Like, if you're so concerned about that as a man, you go out there and do the work and start teaching men not to objectify and sexualize girls.
That is true. And also him as a person, you need to be comfortable within yourself to understand that, like, yo, you know, like, that is her just like discovering. She has no thought about, you know, trying to go and do whatever with some man or go off and run away and, you know, work on some.
But I get it at the same time as well. It's because like, I understand where his care and concern comes from. So I understand it. But at the same time, it's kind of like maybe just learning to reframe his mind a little bit. Because again, I was remembering some of the things that I was wearing at her age. And it's kind of like you have to go for, you know, and unfortunately, as women, we always are hyper vigilant and alert to people watching us anyway. And I could be out in jeans and a coat, and it's not going to save me anymore than if I was wearing hot pants and a bra. At the end of the day, women get attacked and raped wearing burqas, you know. It's not going to save you. It's not going to save, yeah. So I just feel like it's just going to reinstall fear in women and make them dilute who they want to be even more.
But that's the thing, at the same time, like for the man, it's like we understand the brain of a man, and that's why we tend to be so possessive in that sense, because it's like, yo, this is my daughter. I know these fuckers are looking at my daughter like, you know, like the meat kind of thing. But then also with the man, I feel like that is within yourself, because it's the same. For me, it's something I kind of accepted years ago with my girlfriend. You know, when I was younger, I couldn't handle another guy looking at my girlfriend. But then as you get older, you realize, like, they just looking, like, they can't do shit. She's with you. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of maturity and, like, growth that needs to take place, and conversations as well that need to take place in order to really change your perception and change the perception of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then you have these things like porn, you know, which wasn't as accessible. Well, I didn't even have the internet when I was in high school, so like now it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts are on that kind of thing.
Porn is a funny one for me, because whilst I'm not against it, you know, I watch porn myself. Like, I'm not mad at it. I think sex workers who choose to do that work, again, if it empowers you and you can make money from it and you're safe and you're happy and you're healthy, I'm more power to you. You know, I'm absolutely here to support it. I think again that what for me blurs the boundaries with the grey area with porn is there's so much content online now We don't know where it's came from. We don't know if the person consented. You know, like you go on like some of these, I don't know, XX videos, like I don't know, like anyone can look.
Which ones do you
I'm blowing myself. But like some of the videos, I'm kind of like, does this person even know this is, you know, because some of them are quite like homemade, like intimate type videos, and I'm like, does this person even know this is here? Is this even was this kind of? And there was a case where there was a girl who was kidnapped and raped at 14, and the content of her rape was put on Pornhub, and she was asking them for 6 months to take it down. And they didn't, until she pretended to be a lawyer. She couldn't afford legal, so she pretended to be a lawyer, and they then removed it. But for 6 months, the whole world had trauma. Yeah, I don't even know where you would begin to recover and heal from that.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the thing, though. It's like, how do you can't really navigate it because you don't know what is out there. You know, there was recently about Pornhub and the amount of, you know, underage and, you know, illegal stuff that's going on with that. Boycotting it at some point.
This is why OnlyFans is good, though, because like with OnlyFans, you can support the sex worker directly. It's their content that they're uploading, and they get the money. They get the majority of the money. I know what OnlyFans take a cut, but like it goes in their pockets more. So I'm really here for OnlyFans. Actually, I know a couple. I know a couple.
Website or something.
Hey.
A porn website or.
It's like it's basically like, it's sort of like an Instagram, if you like, and you can some are free and some you have to sign up for. So you might pay like $6.99 a month, and then you get to see all the content that person uploads. So for example, I know a couple who do porn together, and they have one, and you might subscribe for, say, like, I don't know, a tenner a month, and then you get to see all their content. So they'll put videos up there, they'll put pictures up, and you know that money is going to them, and that the content is made by them. It's all consensual. It's all, you know, and I like that idea.
For adults. So is it something you would consider at some point?
And OnlyFans? Oh, yeah. No. Not for me. I'm not mad at anyone else who does it, but not for me. I've not got I feel like I'd be too scared. No.
Yeah, I suppose it is for people who are very out there.
Yeah, and I feel like if there's any way that where we can, you know, sex workers are constantly getting demonized, they're constantly getting ill-treated in the industry, not getting the money they deserve. And I feel like if there's a way where people who want to enjoy porn and also want to care about the people who make porn, it's a good way to go.
I think that is, because it's not something that's just going to go away, to be honest. So
yeah, there's always an appetite. There's always an appetite for sex, and again, I think it's a difficult one about how we protect young people who are now navigating the internet.
Yeah.
Because it's so accessible, like you say.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, what else can I say? That's kind of gone through all the questions that I had for you. Is there anything that you want to tell me about your music or stuff that's coming out just before we close, or like end the conversation? Or
yeah, so the only thing is, my Process project, it's coming out probably November time. I say probably because I'm such a procrastinator, and I need to get.
Don't put a date anyway, because I'm not sure when this podcast will air. So.
Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah, so it's going to be out soon, and anyone who feels like they relate to it, they want to kind of be part of a community who is healing and recovering and growing, then come and join. Basically.
Well, you'll give me all your links and stuff. Also, we have a video that's coming out. I'll send you the update on the video called Underwater.
Yeah.
A couple of years in the making.
Listen, better late than never.
Yeah, that's going to be coming out. I'll put some links for that. But Olivia, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been really enjoyable and nice to talk to you on a personal level as well.
And you too. Thank you for having me.
And people, this is The Other Side of the Sun. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. I'm the solarkidd. That's Olivia Louise. Peace and love, everybody.
Ciao.